In this video help, we're going to be going into the buyer's order again, and we're going to be covering this section, which is the dealer trade and allowance data. Now, in two ways, there's dealer trade and allowance I want to point out to you. With the two vehicles that were examples that we picked, there was an MSRP of $32,695, but the dealership indicated that there was a cash back customer cash of $750 and a Ford Explorer Ford credit retail bonus custom cash of $250. Now, be aware, these may not be accurate. What that means is this basically you may have to qualify for a credit retail bonus, probably through Ford Credit. So what you want to do, either when you talk to the actual salesman or sales manager or the internet desk, have them explain exactly what these are. If they're not available to you, then they're not really real. And the same thing goes for the next one. There is a discount of $1,501, a rebate of up to $1,450. And what you want to know is, why are these added and are they in there? And the other thing you want to do is to check the dealership either on the internet and see on the vehicle type that you're interested in if they're giving zero interest as far as a zero interest purchase. If that's available, then you absolutely need to find out if it's applicable only to certain people with credit ratings at a certain level or on a specific set of vehicles. For example, it's probably on the luxury end of the vehicles where they're going to give a discount, and you need to check that. You always need to check for factory rebate money. If there are factory rebate money and or also a zero credit, zero interest thing that you have to identify, make sure you do your homework and find out how these are applied and what it really means, because it's going to change the MSRP, in this case $35,164 from $38,115. If this is the case and you look at the invoice and then the invoice is less than or greater than this number, then you need to adjust your negotiations based on the numbers. Now, I'm going to point out again, when you're looking at the vehicle MSRP and so forth, if there is factory money or dealer money, or you're looking at the invoice, you need to look at those items and look at them individually to see where the money's coming from. Now, be aware, if there's factory money, even after you negotiate the MSRP and down to whatever number you're going, like invoice, factory money should be on top of that, meaning that is another discount on the actual value of the vehicle that you're buying. So what you need to do is adjust the buyer's order, obviously, to reflect the discount summary total. So for example, if there was another $500 of factory money, then this would be $29 instead of $29.5, and it would be more than the invoice, or less than the invoice really, because you're taking $500 off of it. You want to make a note over here that you're taking that extra $500 for factory money and how this is distributed as far as the buyer's options, so that you have a record of what you're doing and the information is properly indicated in that amount. Okay, so that being said, what we want to do is we're going to move on to the individual information for the dealer's trade. Now, here is the next piece of information that is very valuable. When you go to a dealership and you intend to try to trade in your vehicle, put in the information that is required here for your trade-ins. You can have two trade-ins as far as the way this is set up. If you're having just one, or if you're not going to have a trade-in, then there would be nothing in this area as far as this is concerned. And the summary totals would not include this information or this, but it would include the final amount down here at the bottom that was based on the actual offer. Because if you don't have a trade-in, whatever this offer price is what we're negotiating next on the dealer finance side. And that goes back to the Foursquare again. If it's a case of trying to stay within a payment, or you're looking at the MSRP or at the buyout price, you would put your offer number here and let the dealership determine what that buyer's at price is going to be. You want to know what you want to pay. If you have a trade-in, you want your trade-in information ready in the actual database. You don't try to put it on the Foursquare. They will try to do that in a lot of dealerships. And then you negotiate that based on what you're looking at either on your iPad or iPhone as to what you actually want for your trade-ins. Now, what I was saying, there's a little deviation from this, and I'm going to explain what I mean. You have your offer, 29. You are going there with your trade. Do not offer the trade initially. That's important. If you're going to have a trade in, you have your information available to you, and you're going to get ready to negotiate the deal. Wait until you get all this information up here completed, and you have this information to be doing next. You want the dealer to come back without the trade-in, and then usually they'll come up with the MSRP or buy-at price, and then you can come up with your counteroffer. Go ahead and do the counteroffer based on the what you want to offer for it, and see what they give you as far as numbers for a buy-at price. Okay? We're kind of being a little devious here, because what we're going to be doing is we're not going to offer our trade until we know what all the numbers are that they have minus the trade. Then spring it on them. Say I have a trade-in vehicle I drove here today, and there will be a conversation, so to speak, earlier on than that, where they ask if you're going to trade anything in. This is what the word you should use is, I'm considering it, but I want to see what I can get it at without a trade. That's simple. You're not lying. You're not being devious. You're just saying, I want to see what I can get without my trade. Once you establish what the actual value is based on factory allowance, in this case $500, and dealer allowance of $250, it calculates for you the 28.5. So we came down from 29 to 28.5 based on factory and dealer allowances without the trade. Now, if you do have one or more trades, what you would do is you would take trade vehicle number one and you would put the buyer asking price. This is obvious, and I shouldn't have to explain it, but if you have a payoff, like down here, if you have a payoff of $8,800 and all you want to do is get out from underneath the vehicle because you feel that that's where you're going to be, and the value is there according to the market, you can go ahead and do that. But there's a thing called upside down that will cause a problem for you. And in the particular case of the second vehicle, buyer's asking 75 and they offered 72. So you're upside down by $300. And you'll see that here, the cash value is saying that we're balancing out up here, but we're losing money down here. When you say you're upside down, you have to satisfy the difference between the actual offer price and whatever cash is not in the value of your trade-in. So you have to make a decision. Am I going to trade this in and then have to come up with cash? Or am I going to go out and sell this thing myself and get what I need for it as opposed to what they're going to offer for it? Keep in mind that they're going to offer you low book value on a trade-in. And you have to negotiate like a professional and come out there and say, look, I owe $8,800. That is my payoff, and I want that amount for it. If I had a second trade and it had a payoff of $7,500, then I'm upside down by $300. This one, I want tit for tat. I want exactly what I owe on it as a payoff. Now, how do you get a payoff? You go to your loan company or bank, which you financed your car at, and you ask for a 30-day payoff for the loan. They should give you the 30-day payoff, and that should include what you have to bring into the deal as far as what is left on the loan. When the dealer comes in and he says, what is the payoff on your vehicle? If you've already checked with your finance company, the bank, wherever you're at, they will tell you you have a 30-day payoff. You need to tell them you have a 30-day payoff and the amount. That helps you because you have your act together and you're controlling the deal. Obviously, if you had a second trade or this was the first trade where you'd be upside down by $300, you have to indicate that your payoff is this, and if they offer you something different, then you're going to end up with a problem. Now, the offer from the dealer is the allowance. If they actually gave you the $8,800 like you want, you would put that in there. If on the second vehicle they only wanted to give you 72, it'll calculate this for you and tell you what the balance is. Then it'll come up with the vehicle price before financing. The vehicle price before financing is all these items considered. Now, obviously, we've got the $28,250 is what we're working off with that money being taken off from the factory. If you get to this point and you haven't asked the question of the dealer or salesperson, what is the factory allowance and the dealer's incentive, and are there any other monies that are going to be taken off? You want to know that before you go in on the trade-in issue. Now, this part should be done where you've offered so much, and then this part is, like I said, is discounted after the fact. So you don't want to be adding that in up here and negotiating based on that, because now you want your factory allowance and the dealer allowance. And the dealer can play this little game with you. He says, well, at this, if you want to do invoice, the dealer allowance is not going to be allowed. Okay, because maybe they're just doing what they're doing and they try to do an incentive of $250. So you're going to have to adjust this if that's the case. There's really no factor to argue about. If you're going to try to get an invoice deal and they're not going to give you a dealer allowance, put it back to zero. Bite your lip, take the 500, and that is what you're going to get as far as trade-in or information before the trade-in. Now, obviously, if you look at these two, if you're getting 500 off at this point, you're getting 500 discount, it helps you to see that you're paying off the amount that is owed on a balance of a loan within the deal. But if you trade it and you end up upside down on this, it's going to go into this price as to what you would have to pay for or finance. In other words, they're going to try to put that in there. Now, if you're upside down by a lot, what happens is going to affect your ability to buy the vehicle that you want to buy, because there's a certain loan value minus this that you have to meet. So if, for example, this is, say, $2,000, then you're adding the $2,000 back into this, and it might not be financeable as far as you owe the money plus the actual purchase price, and you're going to have an issue with the bank or the loan company being able to finance it at that amount. They may want to allow you so much, but you have to know what cash value you have to come up with. Now, there's also the situation we're going to be talking about next, where if you do have cash value and you're going to pay this off and you're going to come in with additional cash, then this is the deal that we're going to be working on when we go into finance. And I'm going to explain in the next video how that comes in and what kind of factor we're really dealing with. But before I leave this screen in this video, this all needs to be negotiated and figured out so that you can have the vehicle price before finance and based on the actual offer and allowance that the dealership's going to give you. Then you go back to their Foursquare. They're going to come up and they're going to say, here's your buyer's offer, here's your trade-ins that you're going to be putting in. And then they're going to do at the buy-at price. They're going to negotiate or try to negotiate maybe a bump figure or something like that was a sticker on the glass. And as I stated earlier in these videos, do not allow them to hit you on a bump. Just don't allow it. Just say, that's a deal killer. I don't want to pay an extra 150 to 1,000 or whatever they're going to put on a bump sticker, because that's how dealers make money. They bait and switch, basically. What they would do is, instead of just giving you the factory money and so forth that you're allowed, they're going to try to get it back from you. And what they're going to do is they're going to put some bogus thing on the car with a single sticker that's next to the MSRP sticker, and it'll have an amount on it, like maybe 1,000 or 1,200 or whatever. Just tell them, look, I'm not going to pay that. Just don't want to even talk about it. That way you're also discounting the price by whatever the bump sticker is. Now, they may have actually done some things, but in a lot of cases, dealers, depending how reputable they are, they will probably have stuff that the car came with in the package that we discussed earlier as far as what the vehicle has in it. Then they're going to try to play the game with you where they say, well, this cost us so much to put tinning on the windshield or whatever. You want to make sure that you tell them, well, if that's in the deal, I'm not paying for it. You guys did that, I didn't, and it's not part of the window sticker. So, just a word for the wise. If they won't come off that price and it's a lot of money, go to a different dealer then. I'm not going to deal with you on that. I just recently did a deal. What we did is we found that we didn't have the vehicle on the lot that we were looking for. There was not one exactly like the one we were looking for. So what we did, we told them, and it had a bump sticker on the one we had looked at. And what we did is we said, we want the one that has, in this case, tan upholstery, tan leather. So they said they didn't have that. Now, this is going to affect your deal. What they're going to do is they're going to go to another dealership that has the exact vehicle you're looking for, and they're going to do a dealer trade. A dealer trade is really negotiable as far as the exact values that you have in the deal, plus your trade-ins and all that kind of stuff. So if the value is going to go up down here for the before finance cost, you need to be aware that if you do a dealer trade, they may try to charge you $150 to do the dealer trade, where they actually go someplace, pick up the vehicle you actually want, and then bring it back. That would be the vehicle you're purchasing. It may take 24 hours for them to bring the vehicle to the dealership. Once you get to this point and you have all this information worked out with them, and then you want a dealer trade to get the vehicle you actually want because the one, they don't have the one, maybe it was sold and you want one that was identical to the package you want, you're probably going to have to do a dealer trade. This sounds harsh, but if they're going to do a dealer trade and you don't want to pay the 200 or 150 or whatever it is to go get the car, just tell them you're not going to do it. Basically, you can find out what that dealer is that has that vehicle and go and negotiate with him. Or the next thing is the dealer trade from, say, dealer A, where you're at, to the dealer B who has the trade. If they actually release that car to come to the dealer that you're at, dealer A, they're going to want the what they call the holdback. And what the holdback is, there's a certain amount of money below the invoice price for the dealer. What happens to the dealer you're sitting in front of, dealer A, he's going to have to forfeit that money. And then when he brings the car into your dealership that you're at, dealer A, he's going to have that, somehow he's going to try to make up the difference between the cost of having to pay to go get that. It's really up to you. And this is why I say negotiating a sale is not easy. But in this particular case, with all the information you got in front of you that you're working on, you can see where to work the deal. Now, you can negotiate in this way. If there's a dealer trade, you'll say, if you want to, you could say, well, it's $150 to go get it. Say, I'll pay half of that. And see what happens. If he says no, and he wants you to pay the full, say, $150, $200 to bring it in, just say, okay, well, thank you, see you later, and start to walk out. That gives you control, because as soon as you have done all this and you're getting ready to walk out, and I mean actually start walking out, that particular salesman is going to say, oh, well, hold it. I'll go talk to the sales manager and see if we can take that out of the deal where you don't have to pay it. They want to get the sale. So they're going to go ahead and negotiate either half of it or something like that. You need to be a strong negotiator. Now, don't be an angry person about it. The person that is cool, calm, and collected and has the information in front of them has power and control over the deal. If you get angry and you start saying, no, I won't do this and I won't do that, and you're angry about it, you're going to alienate the salesperson, and he's going to go back and tell the sales manager, and the sales manager is going to say, well, if this guy's kind of a jerk, then we won't work with him. Just tell him to go home. So you have to be a little bit diplomatic about when you're negotiating. You're already in the power position to do things that they don't want you to do, and you're controlling the deal. So you have to be careful how you negotiate. Over the years selling cars, there were two types of people that come into the dealership. There's the people that negotiate and they do it pleasantly, and I try to help that person. If I get a guy that's a cowboy and comes in and he says, I know how to do this deal and all that, and he's playing games, you typically actually hit them. What I mean by hit them, not physically. You hit them and you don't do anything for them. You try to get as close to the lowest price you can that will work for the dealership. And if it comes to push and shove and the sales manager says, well, if the guy's a real jerk, then we don't need him. He's going to be a bad customer and he's going to give bad words to everybody that might come in. So you need to be aware of that. Being pleasant and being clever and controlling and having all the information in front of you is very important. While I'm saying that for this part of the video, do not show this information or tout it or play games with it with the salesperson or sales manager. Use the numbers, hold it to your chest, don't let them see what you're doing. Once you show them what you're doing, you lost the control. So keep in mind that if you're looking at all the numbers and you see where you're working at and you know that you've got a good deal going, don't tout it back to them, because then they will turn around and turn on you. They will see that you're negotiating from a power position, and a lot of times they will stop working with you. They will just say, here's the price, this is what we're offering, and if you don't like it, we'll see you later. So be careful that you don't reveal your position to them. It's like playing poker, and you have a great hand. You wouldn't turn it around and show everybody before the deal's over with. That's exactly what you're dealing with here. Keep your numbers close to your chest so that they don't know what you're doing. Okay, the next video we're going to be doing is going to be the one on the dealer finance. And this is where a lot of people really take a hit if they don't pay attention to what they're doing. So we're going to be covering that next. Okay, so if you have any questions, as usual, you can get a hold of us at the support line on our website using the support drop down over here, and ask questions if you have them. Be careful to do that. If you don't understand something and you're wanting to go in and buy a vehicle and you're just a little confused, make sure you contact us so we can alleviate any of those fears. Thank you.